Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Caden Kubler and welcome to Caden's Corner. The Baltimore Ravens have finally evolved into this team that we all thought they would become. This dominant run game with Derrick Henry, this elite passing attack with Lamar Jackson. This offensive line has stepped it up. The defense is now playing great, and this Ravens team is looking like one of the hottest teams in all of football. Now let's break down what they've been doing so great over the past few weeks. Now we know the Ravens started slow the first 2 weeks of the season. They started 0-2. A lot of people were panicking. They had that really bad week 1 loss where Lamar started slow. They couldn't get this run game going, and they would end up losing by a toenail from Isaiah Likely. Fast forward to week 2 against Las Vegas. They have a controlled lead in the fourth quarter. They're up about 10 points. Las Vegas storms all the way back and beats them. Everybody's hitting the panic button. They're now 0-2. People can't figure out why they're losing with the former MVP and now Derrick Henry. It makes no sense. Well, now we're on to week 3. This team in a must-win situation dominated Dallas in a wire-to-wire win. They've since won 4 straight games after a big-time win over Washington, and this Baltimore team is looking like the hottest team in football. Now, I think it's easy to sit here and look at why this Baltimore team has had success over the past few weeks. Now, in week 1 and 2, when they were 0-2 and then when they were losing ball games, let's look at the carries for Derrick Henry. He had 13 carries week 1 for only 46 yards. Automatically, red flashing light should be going off. Why is he only getting 13 carries? Now, week 2, only 18 carries for 84 yards. Had some more production, but still, this is Derrick Henry in the backfield with Lamar Jackson, one of the best running quarterbacks in NFL history. You look at these last 4 weeks and the upgraded effort to get Derrick Henry the ball. 25 carries for 151 yards against Dallas, 24 carries for 199 yards against Buffalo, 15 carries for 92 yards. Lamar Jackson had 5 passing touchdowns this game against Cincinnati. This week against Washington, 24 carries for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry has been dominant, and it is so scary for teams around the AFC. And the Ravens have been dominating these borderline playoff teams. Washington, they were at the top of the NFC East. They have this high-flying offense with presumptive offensive rookie of the year in Jaden Daniels. Cliff Kingsbury's done a great job with him. But this run game, when you have no answers for Derrick Henry, your entire game plan pretty much gets thrown out the window. They see Cincinnati 2 weeks ago. Joe Burrow, if this team's winning ball games, he might be the MVP frontrunner right now. But at the end of the day, you can't slow down Derrick Henry. You can't slow down Lamar Jackson. They'll put up 41 points on your head against Buffalo. Buffalo at one point, everyone's like, wow, they're 3-0. They have to see this Ravens team, Ravens back against the wall, 24 carries for 199 yards. How does that sound? They have been feeding the king, and that's the recipes for success right now for the Baltimore Ravens. This offensive line coming into this year had 3 new starters, and there were a lot of question marks for how the production of this run game would look. We know in this John Harbaugh era, specifically with Lamar Jackson, but in this John Harbaugh era, he loves to run the football. It's predicated on having a great offensive line, setting up the run game into the play action game, and that's what Lamar Jackson's made his money on over the past few years. And now we see this team making a concerted effort to get Derrick Henry the ball. You have 3 games with 24 carries plus in the last 4 games. That's going to be a really scary sign for other NFL teams, not to mention Lamar Jackson has been playing at such a high level. Against the Bengals, 4 touchdown passes, no picks. He's been really efficient this season, 1,500 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 picks. And it's so crazy to see how Lamar Jackson continues to get better as a passer every single year. I think there was this notion a few years ago that if you're a great running quarterback, you can't be a great throwing quarterback. And Lamar Jackson, we know how he's broken down this wall and how he's been just such a great, consistent quarterback in the NFL. And you look at his trajectory every single season that he's been a starting quarterback, Lamar Jackson has consistently gotten better as a passer, and he looks great this season. His touchdown to interception ratio is on pace for the best of his entire career, back to that 2019 season where he won the MVP. But this version of Lamar Jackson is very scary for NFL defenses. I was a little concerned coming into this year with the loss of Odell Beckham Jr., how this passing attack stay consistent, because throughout the entirety of Lamar Jackson's career, he never had a great offensive receiving core until they made this concerted effort to go get Zay Flowers, go get Odell Beckham Jr. Now, they always had great tight end production with Mark Andrews, but they never had true great receivers or a true X receiver. And that was kind of Odell Beckham and a great rookie performance from Zay Flowers last year, but they lost OBJ, and I was concerned, where would this production come from in the passing game? Zay Flowers has stepped up in a big-time way. He is just such a twitchy, quick receiver. You get the ball in his hands, and he is going to make things happen. But I really like where the Ravens are at right now. They're playing a great brand of football. They struggled the first 2 weeks of the year, but you just look at some of these offensive stats right now. They have the most yards per game in the entire NFL at 453. That is insanity. And then in terms of total points per game, they have the fourth most at 29.5. This Baltimore team has been dominant offensively, and it's no question why. They've been giving Derrick Henry the ball more. And for this Ravens defense, they're always consistent on that side of the ball, slowing down the game for the offense. I know they got torched against Cincinnati, but I thought they had a great bounce back against the Commanders this past weekend. This team's been one of the best offensively in the entire league, and this Ravens team only held them to 23 points in terms of the rushing game. They're only giving up 59 rushing yards per game. That's the lowest in the NFL. This front has been really good, and we know what this secondary can be with Marlon Humphrey and Kyle Hamilton, but obviously they got exposed against Cincinnati, so those numbers are a little skewed right now. But I think this Baltimore team is in a great spot. They are tied for the division lead right now with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're 4-2. They're going to start to see some of their divisional games later in the season. They've only seen one so far, but they've got Tampa Bay on Monday night. That is going to be a great game. I think they win this one. They're going to go on the road, but it's going to be a tough one. But you can go up and see these high-flying offenses. You can go up and see Joe Burrow. You can go up and see Patrick Mahomes. But the biggest difference for Baltimore this year is that they have that true dominant running back to pair with Lamar Jackson, and that's what everyone was so excited to see with Derrick Henry. Everybody knew what this would open up for this offense because they always had great running production out of Lamar Jackson, but they never had consistent running back play, whether it was J.K. Dobbins being banged up or different guys that they would have to put in that backfield because of all of the injuries they've had at the running back position over the last few years. But now they have Derrick Henry, who is just a freight train, still getting it done at his age. And this Ravens team, they're going to win a lot of ball games. You look at their schedule outside of playing Cincinnati one more time and playing Houston, all of these games are very winnable. They have Tampa Bay on the road, Cleveland on the road, Denver at home, Pittsburgh on the road, the Los Angeles Chargers on the road, Philadelphia at home, New York Giants on the road, Pittsburgh at home again, and then Cleveland at home. All of those games are very winnable. The only two tough ones, like I said, look like Cincinnati and Houston on the road. But I think this Ravens team, if they can continue to capture this fire and continue to get on a hot streak, I think they can make a legitimate run for that number one seed in the AFC. It's so tough to go into Arrowhead and try and dethrone Patrick Mahomes. And if anybody wants a shot at stopping that three-peat, you know what you have to do. It starts with getting that number one seed in the AFC like they had last year, and it starts with making Patrick Mahomes go on the road and face that environment, because it is a tough place to play in M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. And I think right now, with the struggles of Cincinnati and the uncertainty with Buffalo, I think this Kansas City team and Baltimore team are on a collision course for an AFC Championship rematch. But I think this Baltimore team's different. They have a different buzz, they have a different vibe, and I think they are the hottest team in the NFL right now, and they are going to make a legitimate push at knocking off Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm Caden Kubler, and that's my take.